Welcome to another episode of Is That So? I am excited to have my guest on today. Now, I definitely should have asked him how to pronounce his last name before I allowed him backstage, but I'm going to do my best with this. Matthew Caruana. I'm going to say Matthew. Matt is going to come out here. He's going to say his own damn last name, but he is a mental fitness facilitator, y'all. He has a story, as we all do. The story that he has is one that is definitely inspiring to me, and I believe it'll be inspiring to you. Ergo, I brought him on for today's show, and definitely mental health. You know, with this season being catered towards or targeted towards mind-body medicine, mental health, of course, is on the forefront, and which is why y'all hear me joke a lot, because humor, y'all have no idea just how healthy humor is. Like, humor is one of the best forms of medicine. It's easy access, and it is a quick fix, you know, to many of your problems. It is very hard for you to be both depressed and laughing your ass off at the same time. It's going to be very hard for you to do both of those things. You're going to have to choose one or the other. Either I'm going to be depressed today, or I'm laughing my ass off today. Or you could do both. But there are time frames for these things. Anyway, the point is that there are certain practices, holistic practices, that you can do that can rapidly change your perception on life. And if you can just detach yourself from your pain for just a moment, then you can move your awareness onto something greater, something of your choosing, you know, something that is values-based, you know, something that will give you fulfillment. So anyway, y'all know before I bring my guests on, I give my little spiel or whatever. So I want to put some facts out there. I'm going to just give y'all toss out a few facts out here, okay? So 970 million people worldwide have a mental health or substance abuse disorder. Another factoid, anxiety is the most common mental illness in the world, affecting 284 million. And this is according to Our World in Data 2018. And I'm going to give y'all the works cited, the actual website I pulled this from in a minute. But these are important factoids. Anxiety is the bodily experience of fear. And now, again, the quote is, the fact is, anxiety is the most common mental illness in the world, affecting 284 million people. But just go in Harry's crazy world for a second and just entertain this. So fear is the most common mental illness in the world, affecting 284 million people. Why did I substitute fear for anxiety? Because anxiety is the bodily experience of fear. So fear is the most common mental illness in the world, affecting 284 million people. This is the reason why I am so passionate about what I do. This is why my mission statement is to assist others in developing the audacity or the boldness to live unapologetically authentic. Authenticity is about how closely in alignment you are with your values. Are you choosing your values? Are you choosing your truth? Are you living in your truth, or are you living in your fear? Are you living in your don't wants? Are you living in your I never want to experience this again? You know, are you living in that? And so many of us are plagued with anxiety, even though humans, technically, in America at least, you know, in many most developed countries, you know, it's the safest it's ever been in humanity. You know, I want to say that for the entire globe. Like it's the safest it's ever been for humans to exist on the globe. And yet we are the most fearful we've ever been in human existence. How did that occur? All right. That's my question to you. That's what I want you to ponder. You know, when you got a moment, you in the shower, or you sitting outside by your pool. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I'm talking about pools. You sitting outside by your pool, or you on your balcony sky rise, looking at me at my balcony sky rise. I don't have one yet, but it's on its way. It's on its way. I promise you, it's on its way. I'm gonna take pictures and I'm gonna send it to all y'all. But do you think about that? Like, how is it that we are so fearful, even though we have come so far as technology? and the advances that we've made, it's amazing. It's amazing. And so, but yet we still have this immense fear, and this fear, again, what I say, false evidence appearing real, FEAR. This fear is the thing that corrodes away at our soul, at our spirit. Fear destroys everything. You can't move without fear. Fear keeps you stagnant. Fear is the reason why we stare at our don't wants. Fear is the reason why the mind gets locked into this negative feedback loop where it replays pains from the past and projects it into the future and makes predictions based off of its horrible past that it's trying to run from. You got to get out of that madness. You got to get out of that matrix. You got to get out of the maze of the mind and understand that you are not your thoughts. You are awareness. Okay. One last factoid before I bring my guest on. Globally, mental illness affects more females, 11.9%, than males, 9.3%, our world in data. I believe that these are some conservative estimates because you have to understand that these statistics are based off of reports and people more than likely who are seeking treatment. And because of machismo and other things that us men carry with us based off of beliefs that we've inherited, many of us don't seek the help. It is my personal layman's belief, non-professional belief, that if there are not as many men, if the proportion is not equal to that of women who suffer from dysfunction regarding, living healthily mentally, then we would probably surpass, because men have just as many, if not more, insecurities as women, period. All right, so I'm about to bring my next guest. He's a young, up and coming, I'm pretty sure, inspirational, world influencing billionaire. Matt, he's going to come here and he's going to talk to us basically about mindset and how we need to get our minds together. So please welcome to the stage, Mr. Matt, who's going to say his last name for his damn self.
So my last name is Caruana.
Caruana.
Caruana. Think marijuana with a C.
Come on, man.
Easy.
Yeah, Caruana. I love your last name, bro. Caruana. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Okay, all right. Yo, so Mr. Caruana, how you doing, man? Welcome to the Is That So show, man.
Doing great, Harry. Thank you. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing perfectly splendid. I'm excited about this show, bro.
I wanted to just add something just to that statistic you just mentioned, how like the rates of mental health is affecting more females than males. And I completely agree with you where it is quite a conservative statistic there, where men quite often they hide it, and suicide rates are significantly higher in males in comparison to females. And I have a lot to share on that based on my experience and as well too. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah. So please welcome to the show, brother. Let's start out with you just basically telling the people your mission first, and then we'll dive into the heavy stuff, because we like a free flow here, so we're gonna keep flowing with it.
My name is Matthew Caruana, and I'm a mental fitness facilitator. It is my passion and life's purpose to inform, inspire, and impact mental fitness across the world. I want people to make better decisions for themselves so they can live a better quality of life. The last thing I want to do, I want to see, is someone at the point where they can't take the pain anymore and they push themselves to a point that they can never take back.
All right, brother. All right. Let me jump on in here. And so clearly we're going to get very real today, as we always do. Keep it all the way authentic. But yeah, this is going to be a real topic. Mental health. We need to come out. We need to talk about this. I have a friend, and actually it was a combination of multiple factors, but my last little depressive spell that I experienced was at late January, early February, right? and I was in there for a few weeks. It was rough, but it came at the anniversary. I didn't realize the anniversary of a friend who actually completed suicide 4 years prior. And that had been a struggle. It was like right after that event occurred, it was like this domino effect. Like everything started to like fall apart, and I had to figure out how to put it back together and understand life. But there was a lot of judgments that came from that, man. But please, brother, talk to us, about like your struggles. Talk to me. What was the moment uh that served to be maybe both your greatest experience with pain, but at the same time your greatest moment of awakening? Oh yeah, I'm coming with a haymaker.
I love it. I love it. It definitely was that. It was when I was 16. So let's just say mental health struggles just brought me to a point where I thought the only way to end the pain was to throw myself off a building to end my
Mm.
own life. I did. I threw myself off, and on January 9th, 2016. And then I woke up 2 weeks later in a hospital bed with many, many injuries, but scared shitless to the point where, I had boots on both my feet, casts on both arms, neck brace, tubes going through me, everything. And I couldn't feel or function half my body. So I'd become a paraplegic as a result. And so being left with the same mental and emotional struggles, I was now left physically more challenged. And at the time, let's just say I thought this was beyond rock bottom.
Mm. Come on.
And it would be the one thing I'm most grateful for, though, because had it not happened, I wouldn't have learnt what I've learnt. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and I wouldn't be in the position that I am. And it's because of what I've done. It's honestly given me insights. It has, to how other people are experiencing and struggling, though also how they can break through to the other side. It's so commonly believed that mental health, depression, anxiety, all these stuff can't be healed. You can't you can't fix it. I'm sorry, but you can. I'm a representation of physically that, yeah, mental health, it's ugly, but also I'm a representation that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Before we get to the overcoming part, help me understand what led to that part, if you don't mind delving in a little bit more on that. Because again, men, we holding it in. We don't want to go to a therapist. We don't want anybody to get inside our heads and this and that. And so we're taught we're supposed to just tough it out. We don't have time to feel our emotions. And so I believe that men like us coming out and talking authentically about our struggles. This is why I have no problem saying, as a therapist, that I had a friend who completed suicide, and that I am diagnosed with PTSD and or CPTSD, and that I have depressive spells every now and again. Now, thankfully, I know how to manage them now. The important point is that this is perfectly human and normal, But please talk to us a little bit about what led up to that point. Like what was going on in your life that was so bad that you felt like you just had it in it, like I don't give a shit, like I'm done.
Well, that's the thing. What you mentioned earlier it's so true, it's so real. That we're not talking about it, and that the stigma behind it all. It's yeah. But it started when I was 12. I I was brought up in a Catholic upbringing, Catholic primary, Catholic high school. Got good grades, all that stuff. Did well at school. Did well at sport as well. On the outside, everything looked perfect. Perfect. Though I remember hearing, you'd always hear it everywhere. Everyone's life has a meaning. Everything happens for a purpose, And in growing up Catholic, we were taught that you'll find your reason, your meaning in life through the Bible, through God. Personally, this didn't resonate with me, and I didn't like hearing it. But I wanted to have my own answer. Now, if everyone's life has meaning, and if everyone has purpose, what's my purpose? What's the meaning of my life? I don't know how to answer that. I'm 12 years old, but I didn't like that question unanswered. So I asked myself another one. Well, if I was gone and dead, would anything actually be different? Again, hard to answer that when you're alive. So I asked myself a third question. Well, do I actually, add any value to society? Do I actually play any role? And that's when I had my answer. So I knew that, having meaning and purpose was about contributing, but I didn't have a job. I lived at home with my parents. I was just, taking up space, so to speak. And so that meant if I was dead, nothing here would actually be different. There would just be more space for someone else, who has more meaning and purpose in their life, which then meant that my life meant nothing. And I labeled myself as worthless, and I carried that heavily and wanted to change it. And I really dwell on those questions because I didn't like the answer, but it's the only thing that made sense to me. And I, believed it firmly. But here I am on the outside, right? Like I'm popular in school. I've not got no issues going on, yet inside's a different story. Now I did very good at hiding it as well. That was the trigger point where it started the downward spiral, though I eventually delved into drugs pretty quickly after. Started experimenting when I was 13 and developed an addiction. Started dealing, all that stuff. And that, then led to me going to the gym as another coping strategy. The gym was how do I say it? At the time, it's the perfect way to like give a false image. Like I say that because when I got started, I was extremely skinny. Extremely skinny, and I started bulking up. But the people that were older than me, and even in my grade, everyone they gave me so much love and respect. Oh, Matt, you're beefing up. Look at you, you're getting big, all this stuff. And so I wore that with pride. I even had teachers in my school thinking I was on steroids, and then that passed down to the students, and it was like a thing. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna wear this with pride. I never touched the stuff, but I thought, shit, I have this reputation, and I had a goal. I was like, I want to work so hard at this. For this one photo, I'm gonna post for it, put it on my Facebook, making my photo, and everything. And I did, put on 30 kilos in 8 months. I dropped 20 in 4 months, all for this one photo, and posted.
I'm sorry, it was 30 kilos in American language.
30 kilos. Good point.
No, I'm messing with you, man. But go ahead. You dropped 30 kilos. I'm gonna look that up later. please. No, I'm sorry, man.
I love it. It's perfect. And dude, everyone believed me. And I could send you the photo, man. I'm at 16 years old, posing for the camera. This is the very beginning of 2016, right? And all the likes, comments, friend requests, girls inboxing me, all that stuff. At the time, it was all coming in. Everyone believed that I was doing well. I was confident, all this stuff. The image was that. Beneath the surface, something else. To the point where all this external validation wasn't enough to actually heal an internal wound, to the point where a week after that photo was taken, a fucking week, I decided to, go jump and try to end my own life.
Can you recall any thoughts or emotions you were experiencing after that? You said a week later, like what is happening there? What was happening in that space that even after that, a week later, you still attempted to end your life?
I'm still worthless. What's changed? Nothing had changed in my mind. I was still taking up space, and I looked buff. I looked great. Everyone gave me respect for it, but who cares? Really? And I firmly believed that I was never going to get out of this rut, that I was doomed for the rest of my life. That trance, Dr. Tara Brach, in her book, Radical Acceptance, she calls it the trance of unworthiness, and all of us suffer from that trance of unworthiness. And so many of us suffer silently, which is why I created this school of outliers, actually, is for those silent sufferers, to have refuge and understand that there is hope, and all you have to do is grab hold of just that little thread. If you could just grab that thread. But tell us more about, like you said, you jumped off a building. So tell me about how high was this building? First off, I know I'm nosy. How high was this building, man? 35 meters.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna look that one up too. But that sounds like it's pretty high.
Oh man, yeah.
Is that
I
like 3 stories, 3.5 stories? Like if you went stories
seven, I
wise,
think 7 stories.
7 stories.
Yeah,
Wow, man, 7 stories. Wow.
7, 8. Yeah, I think so. 7 sounds about right. Yeah,
What was this building like leading
it's a
up to
local
this
shopping
moment?
center.
Local shopping center. You went to the
I
top of the local. Go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. So I'd visualized and planned exactly how I was going to do it for over a year. I mean, I knew exactly where I was going to do it, how I was going to do it, the time of day. I just didn't know when. Shit, I gotta watch my mic. I just didn't know when I was going to do it, and so yeah, I mean, like it's like I'd written a script. I would play this movie in my own mind over and over and over and over and over again, and believed the fact that this was all that my life was meant for and left for.
Mm, mm, mm. Taking of space, that trance of unworthiness, man. And
Mm.
so then that led you to jumping off of pretty much a 7 story build. You like, and you survived clearly because I'm talking to you. I don't believe I'm speaking to a ghost. I'm gonna need some help if not. Yeah. But you jumped off and you woke up 2 weeks later. So who found you? Like, what did they tell you?
So I snuck out at around 11 o'clock at night, and they were doing some construction at the shopping center. And where I had jumped, so they were doing construction in that area. Because it was at night, no one found me for about 6 hours or so. Yeah, about 5:30 in the morning, some tradies that were doing some construction work, they found me, called the cops. My dad wakes up and he notices that I'm not home. And he saw, and the family, they searched the house, they called the cops, and they put the two together, and that's how they found me. I woke up 2 weeks later because I was in a coma for 2 weeks.
And the injuries you sustained were.
The main ones being spinal cord injury and my brain injury. Though, I mean, I had 35 injuries in total, like all these bones and like broken, all that stuff. Yeah. That, yeah.
Wow. When you woke up, I know this is really minute in comparison to the topic and the purpose of it, but did you feel like how much pain were you in when you woke up?
I was drugged up like crazy. All I got an IV drip hooked to me. I was on just all these medications as well. I just honestly, ICU is a massive blur for me. A massive blur. The only thing I remember that really stands out was this thought that I couldn't get out of my head.
Mm.
It bugged me, man, because I'd gone and tried to end my own life. I firmly believed I was worthless for so long, and I couldn't even do that right. The amount of shame, guilt, frustration, anger, hatred, and everything all at once just towards myself because I couldn't do it right.
Mm.
Because I wasn't even good enough to end my own life.
Wow.
How pathetic am I now if I was worthless beforehand?
And so, I mean, clearly you're not in that state now. So the recovery, I know I'm dragging this out a little bit, but I find it's very fascinating, these turn of events. And so how long was it for the recovery? You said you couldn't walk. For how long?
To this day, currently, I'm not walking, though. Let me give some context. So, spinal cord injury. So, the effect on the body is essentially it's like the highway that sends signals from the nerve to the body, right, from the brain to the body. And I'm sure you already know this, but for those that are listening, basically, if your spinal cord gets injured, everything below that level is either affected or not working. So, and there are two types of injuries. For example, let's say the highway, right? Let's say 2 lanes, like on the left side, I have construction, right? So it's blocking off. So you can't go through that certain point. So you can't go to certain exits going one way, but the other way you can. It's similar with the spinal cord, where if it's an incomplete injury, you can there's still some nerve endings attached, but a complete injury is a complete sever, and that's what I've got. I severed my spinal cord at the T12 level, so it's above your belly button. And basically, I was told, Matt, you will never walk again. You will never have any sensation, function, feeling, bladder, bowel, sexual function as well. It's going to all be gone. And that crushed me at the time. And going from someone who lived, I would say, quite an independent life. I did whatever I wanted, right? And having that all taken away from me, not just independence, but the body, and now I can't walk and all this stuff that at the time. And like I said, I didn't like talking beforehand. Nothing had changed afterwards initially.
So tell me how you got to where you are now. And a matter of fact, so I can, just in case the people can't see it when they do look at it.
Yeah. So
so you recovered. You recovered. Some damage. Of course, there's no recovery from. Well, they say there's no recovery from. But you've recovered and you've come to this point in your life where now you're on podcasts. And what are you doing?
Okay. And by the way, it goes beyond just mental as well. It goes physical too, but that's a whole other thing to talk about. But how it transitioned from being in that dark place where nothing was good at all and just, being the lowest point in my life to now, I was very blessed so basically I was still in hospital a week before I left. So it's about 3.5 months later. I just come across a stranger on a train, and man, this guy threw me off my tracks. Now, you guys call them rednecks, we call them bogans in Australia, right? And so, dude, okay. I was on a train with my mum, and halfway through the trip, this bogan comes on. He has no filter. Before he even sits down, looks to his right. What did you do to yourself? Jesus. He's like laughing at me, right? Because here I am, scrawny, 16 in a wheelchair. What's this guy sitting on that thing for? And I don't know what it was. Up until this point, I lied to everyone. I said I had an accident. I had a fall. It was the most I would ever say. It just came out. Maybe it was how happy I was in that moment because I got these piercings that day. And and maybe how abrupt he was. He just got it out. It just came out. I just said, oh, I attempted suicide. And he gives me a funny look and laughs at me. And he says, that was pretty fucking stupid, wasn't it? Look at you now.
He is not a therapist. He is not a therapist. He's not a licensed therapist.
He's a street therapist. But let's just say, honestly, man, the next morning I woke up with this lightness. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time just on this because this is really key for me.
Please.
I went and willingly saw my social worker without waiting for her to chase me up. Up until that point, like I said, I didn't like talking. So I hated seeing my psychologist, social worker, all this stuff. But my social worker was the only person who was real. She was just blunt with me. And I needed it at the time, just like this bogan, right? And so when I went and saw her, I showed off the piercings. I just spoke about the guy on the train, like what happened and all that stuff and how I felt. And she's like, Matt, do you think there's something there in that? And I didn't want to hear that. I didn't like talking. But she then said, Matt, you've been lying to people now for 3.5, 4 months. You told the truth once and you woke up feeling lighter. Matt, I don't know if there's something there, but I have a question. What if you open up to the people close to you in life? Could you potentially strengthen the relationship you already have with them? Now, I didn't want to hear that, but those words, I swear, will never leave me because at the time, it's just, I kept, I'm trying to fight it in my mind. She made a good point, like going on the train, right? Like, yeah, I felt lighter. Okay, whatever. But my ex was actually going to visit me that afternoon, and I decided to, why not give it a shot? She made a good point. And so this is the first time I was real with her in a long time. And she starts tearing up and says, Matt, I've never felt closer to you before. This is the first time in a long time you've actually been real with me. And that, dude, it struck me because here I am sitting in a freaking wheelchair, scrawny, skinny. I'm not the man I used to be, like lean, buff. I have all these injuries. I labeled myself at the time as half a man. And she's saying this. She's never loved me more. My social worker was right. And so I started talking to my friends and then my parents as well. And that was my first turning point. It was so significant for me. Though it was 8 months later where I'm now home, and I was given an opportunity to speak and share my story.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to do it. I didn't like talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she actually brought up the guy on the train. She's like, remember how that guy helped you? What if you could help others help you as well? And that kind of, I didn't want to do it. And the first, I ended up saying yes. And the first time I did it, I was, shaking, nervous, and it was, 30 young people, same age as me. And I'm just thinking, what are they all thinking of me? But they came up to me and thanked me. They shook my hand and said it inspired them.
Mm.
And I can't tell you the feeling that brought, because for so long, for so many years, I believed I was worthless. I was a waste of space. And now, like, even just talking about this now, honestly, like, it brings up a lot of emotion for me, because I was worth it. I was actually of value. And the one thing I had resisted all my life, talking, hell, even feeling my emotions, in that moment, it all came up, and I bursted out into tears, and just, man, honestly, and I decided I want to do more than just this hospital program every 2 weeks to 30 or so kids. I want to go to high schools myself. I want to go to corporations myself. I want to go to universities, conferences, wherever I can, to spread my message, not just my story, but what's come out as a result, and also what people can take away and apply for themselves.
Mm.
The one thing I'd resisted for so long, talking up, feeling my emotions, being in hospital was a blessing. I was forced to feel. I can't run away. I'm sorry. I'm stuck in a bed. And I'm on a 24-hour watch at the time as well. I didn't like it. But I had to sit with the discomfort, which was actually the first blessing. And then that guy on the train, that moment where I actually got to share for the first time, God, if I only had known back then what I know now, if I was authentic with myself, I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't feel I could. I wanted to address it, but I didn't feel I could. And I didn't want to either, because it was uncomfortable. If I had known that when something's up, we should speak up, if I had known to, follow my heart, do what feels right, I would, God, life would be very different. Though I wouldn't change a thing, because it's brought me to a place where I'm now able to inspire other people. And I know each and every person has it within them to overcome their struggles.
So, okay. Yeah. Now we're, oh, okay. All right. So authenticity. So even though this man was not a licensed professional, and, his approach would not be that of such, he was
Definitely
real
not.
with you. He was,
Yeah.
he was authentic with you. And then you said you connected with a social worker, and you said this social worker was real with you as well.
Yep.
And in what ways was this social worker real with you?
She didn't beat around the bush. Now, the psychologist, all this stuff, they had the best of intentions. I completely understand. But I'm sorry, if you're saying, oh, look, everything's okay, and, everything's going to be all right, and all this other stuff. But I'm in the fucking headspace that I just tried to end my own life, and I'm fucking still here. I'm sorry, hearing that makes me just want to say, fuck you. Who are you to say this to me, right? You know what the social worker said? It's a shit situation. It's fucked, yeah. Though she was
so?
real, and she also allowed me a space to see what I do have rather than what I don't.
Come on, is that so, brother? Is that so? So I don't know if you did any research on me like I did on you, but I am a licensed clinical social worker. And I don't hear I'm a layman. I'm just, I'm not giving any good advice on here either. I'm just giving bad advice on here. So, the whole license thing. But I'm a licensed clinical social worker, man. And yeah, we kick ass. Like we
Right,
get
you
in
do.
there, we get in there, we do that shadow work, man. Like we get down in the trenches, you know what I'm saying? We know our people better than any other professional because of how frequent we do in the authentic space that we share. It's authenticity. Every single person that you mentioned, the key ingredient there was authenticity. Even how did you call them on the bus? What did you call them over there in
Oh, the
Sydney?
bogan. Yeah.
The bogan. I don't know if that's a curse word or not over here, but I don't know what that word means over here, y'all. So don't charge me, YouTube. But yeah, no, like that cat. He was authentic. He was authentic in that space, and you connected with that. Even as crude as he was authentic with you. He was real with you. And then the social worker, real with you, and you talking to your girlfriend, you know, at the time. Being real, and that was the closest she's ever felt to you because you were authentic. Authenticity is the only path to true connection. Everything else is just pseudo. Everything else is just surface shit. Authenticity is the only path to truly connect with somebody on a deep level. Talk to us a little bit more about that, man, and talk to us about your mission, because this experience with authenticity then led you into this space where you wanted to influence other people and connect on an authentic level by using your story, not as one as, oh, look at how sorry I am. Don't come feel sorry for me. Not how sorry I am. No, I want to thought about like that. But come feel sorry for me. Woe is me. But you don't want that. That's not what you're choosing. You're choosing to move into a space where you're telling people that your pain can have a purpose. Underneath your pain and your shame may lie your greatest strength. Now, I know you didn't say it exactly like that, but that's what I said. So that's why I plugged it in there. But, do you disagree? I don't put words in your mouth.
I completely agree with it. And this is the thing. Adversity is something that a lot of people will just naturally we want the path of least resistance. So we avoid the adversity and we think it's so bad. Beneath it is always, and I mean always, a lesson. There's always something to be learnt, or something there for you, if you allow yourself to see it. That's the thing. Now, I have every excuse to say that my injury was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I have every excuse to use this as an excuse to not do X, Y, Z, to keep myself in a bad place. Though I'm just blessed that I had the right people in my life at the right time. I couldn't have done this on my own. This is the biggest thing. We all think we can figure it out, Our shit's up in our own heads. I'm sorry. But if life's already an uphill battle, why walk that hill with bricks in your backpack? Why not take some of them out?
Come on. Okay, so I'm assuming that these 4 objectives that I have scrolling down at the bottom helps you to take those out. And so let's get into that right there. Your method and how you're inspiring people. So these are the four core objectives. Develop mental strength and fitness, face and understand fear, build the ability to bounce back, control, and conquer anxiety. So can you help us out? Why are those your 4 core objectives? How do those become your 4 objectives? And what do you mean by build the ability to bounce back? Help us out.
Build the ability to bounce back. That's all of it. It's about resilience. When times get rough, how quickly can you get back up and get back to your normal state? When, fall off the horse, how quickly do you get back on it? It's never about how many times you fall off. It's only about the fact that you're back on it. Because, and the thing about it,
that'd be because let me jump in there and let me add to that before you go to your next objective. Yes, because literally, we fall. There is no success without failure. And so every single time that you fall, you think that you're going to die the first time that you fall. And then, you try again, and then you may stumble again, but you get back up again. And so every single time that you fall, at first you think you're going to die and stay down every single time. But every single time you manage to develop the strength and audacity to stand back up and walk again, until one day you have stood up so many times to your fears that you no longer fear falling. And that's the process. That's where courage comes in. Courage is the deliberate choice to move in your truth in spite being afraid to do so. Courage gives you the ability to move forward in spite of being afraid, because we know that it's our fear that keeps us stagnant. But there's a difference between fear and danger. Again, danger is a reality, but fear is a choice.
Yeah. And the biggest thing about being courageous and showing courage is you need to be fearful to actually be able to show courage. If you're experiencing fear, understand it's completely real. Though the next step, courage, is then what really makes you. Building mental strength to be able to have a tolerance in life where you're able to, when times are rough, you're able to persevere. There's one thing to fall down and get back up. There's one thing to stay on that journey, even though it's getting rough. For example, climbing up that hill, even though it's raining, you can easily go back. And the thing is, what I've come to learn is that we each have this inside of us. Most people, not everyone, has learned how to ride a bike. How many times did you fall off I know I fell 30, 40 times trying to ride this freaking thing on 2 wheels. Right?
I've never fallen. I've never fallen.
Man, I commend you because you're the first
false story. False story.
But even if you scratch your knee, cut yourself up, you still get back up as a kid, right? Kids are the best at this. And we are born with it. Though we develop this, and you would know this, obviously, the fears we develop over time. Though if we can build that back up, we are much more mentally fit. And then understanding and overcoming your fears. That's what holds you back. Like you said, and I actually really, really like what you said. I'm going to quote you on this as well. I want to use this quote somewhere. Anxiety is the
bodily experience of fear.
Bodily experience of fear. That's exactly right. Yeah, I love that. And by overcoming, firstly, understanding, we all need awareness. And the thing about these 4 points, what all it is about is you going within, not trying to look external, but going within, not expecting other things to change. So then you'll be happy, or this to, be over. Once COVID's over, I'm going to be, happy again because I can be free and whatever. No, if you can be free within yourself, understand, look within, then you can break through.
Mm-hmm. And see that you are more than your story, that you are more than your thoughts, that you are the awareness within and your consciousness unfolding. Understand that this is the illusion. This is the Maya. We have come here to have a human experience. Again, we were born tabula rasa, empty slate. And the reason why we have this "who am I" seared into our minds is because that's really the game. The game is to discover who we truly are, and who we truly are. The closest thing that represents who we are our values. What's really important to us, and we discover what's important to us not all at once, but over the course of our lives. But we have to choose to be courageous in experiencing new experiences and making new choices and seeing new possibilities for our lives in order to get and explore that deeper truth. Imagine had you not decided to get back up again. Imagine if you had, because you could have also chosen that,
Of course. And it's easier to do so.
Brother, tell us about, exactly what is a mental fitness facilitator like, and how can people connect with you? You're over there. Tell the people where you're at, and how people can connect with you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get out for a second. Plug in your stuff, man. Let the people know how they can reach you for a second, and I'm going to jump back in here.
Thanks, man. Yes. Thanks, Harry. So I'm based in Sydney, and so as a mental fitness facilitator, I facilitate workshops for individuals and groups of all sizes. My website is mattcaruana.com, which is MattCaruana.com. My Instagram is Matt Shares, and my Facebook is Matt Shares on FB. My LinkedIn also is Matthew Caruana. I am so passionate about informing, inspiring, and influencing other people's mindsets so that they can have a better quality of life.
Why would people need this mental fitness, facilitation of mental fitness? Why do people need this in their life?
Because our mental health is the single most important factor that's holding us back in our lives.
It's a mindset thing.
It's a mindset thing. It's all about that.
So your mission, real quick, before I let you go, your mission is to inform, inspire, and influence millions of mindsets, and for them to improve their quality of life. So connect that mission with how does this mission help you to remain authentic to yourself? How does this mission statement reflect you?
It reflects me because that statement alone literally is the chorus to my heart. In a way, this is my true self, because I understand that when people are able to go within themselves more authentically and understand who they are, that's the epitome of authenticity. And then living that, your quality of life means everything. We all want to be happy, and so we all deserve to be.
until the unconscious becomes conscious. It will direct your life and call you fate, and you will call it fate. And that thing that's in the unconscious, it's where our shadows are. This is why I do shadow work. I'm doing shadow work on Clubhouse right now. Shadow work with Nocturnal. Y'all can check me out while I'm out there. But this is the reason why I'm moving into the social influencing space to teach people about this, because our shadows in that space also is the emotional experience of shame, and we need to understand that we are not our shame, that we know we're not our shame, because our shame repulses us. And anything that represents the truth of who we are, we actually are attracted to it. Indeed, we only connect with other people that we have similarities with, because we only have these relationships. The other is only present to teach us a deeper truth about ourselves, no matter what type of relationship you have. And so when you experience that shame, remember that that repulsion means that that doesn't represent who you are, and quickly move your awareness from your story, which you are judging or your mind is trying to judge yourself on, to exactly what the truth is of your truth. Move it towards awareness of what you know to be true for yourself, and then operate in that space, because that's the only place where you can experience true fulfillment, true peace, true happiness, true higher emotions. And that's, again, this is why I'm so passionate about speaking on this. This is right now, I'm motivated on pure passion right now. This is pure passion talking to y'all right now. This is why I do this. Like, what else is there? I need to let people, as many people, know the mission, the importance of discovering who you are, because there are talents there that need to be unlocked, and it can only be unlocked if you choose to step up to the plate and be your authentic self. There are geniuses, there are Einsteins, there are people there are people holding a cure to so many different ailments that plague our society. People with ideas that can uplift the energies of this entire globe. But in order to access the truth, that power within you, that mini God within you, in order to access that, you have to come to the realization of who you are, or begin that journey by operating in the truth of who you are, which is remaining authentic. And I know in a world that tells you to be anything other than yourself, that produces fear. But understand that freedom exists on the other side of your fears. That sailboats are safest. Sailboats are safest at the harbor, but they were never built to remain docked. Choose freedom. Your mind has no idea how powerful you are. Your fears have no idea how powerful you are. Your fears have no idea how great you are. You have no idea how great you are. Your unfolding consciousness. It's such a pleasure to have you on this show, man. So anything else you wanted to say to the people, any messages that we didn't cover that you want to get out?
And we've already spoken about it. It's authenticity. Follow your heart. Really listen to yourself and go within. Stop listening to everything else. Maybe you have the answer inside you.
You are the question and the answer. You are the lock and the key. Lean into that discomfort, because, again, like Brother Khalil said, pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. It's the bitter potion by which the doctor within heals your sick self. So drink that potion in peace and tranquility. And when you get that understanding will usher in a new level of awareness and peace, and you will see new possibilities for your life. And then you will move from the passenger seat of your life to actually moving into the driver's seat, where you decide, you begin to paint that canvas. The canvas ain't filled up yet. You think that what you see is all there is? No, it's waiting for you to step up and realize that you are a mini creator, that you have the power to create the environment that in the experience that you actually desire in your heart. And so life is truly no more than a canvas, and our minds are the paintbrushes. And so I want to thank you, brother, for being you, for coming on here and being authentic, having the audacity to tell your story, to talk about the deepest shadows that you've experienced, and come on here and give this message, man. So mad love and respect to you, bro. Like, seriously.
I love what you do, Harry, and I love the show, and I love your insights. Are very, very profound. So thank you as well.
Matthew Caruana was in the house. Caruana in the building. Matthew Caruana came on here, mental fitness facilitator. His mission is to inform, inspire, and influence millions of mindsets, and for them to improve their quality of life. Again, this is a space of authenticity. And so I seek to connect with those that share that mission of assisting others in developing the audacity to live unapologetically authentic. You can be in a conversation with somebody and be using the same words, the same language, maybe reading from different dictionaries, and that can be quite frustrating, right? Well, y'all see how when I bring guests on, if you've been paying attention, that the mission, the words, the way that they formulate or articulate their mission may be appear different on the surface from the mission of assisting others in developing the audacity to live unapologetically authentic. But understand that the energy is the same. And when you have people who are on the same frequency come together, this is what I desire. This is what I truly desire. I believe that I am no more than a water molecule in an ocean, a ocean that will bring about radical change based off of love. And so water molecules, waves, they you can see the size of a wave from my understanding. Now, I'm no waveologist. I know they ain't it, but oceanographicist or whatever. I'm not one of those people, but go to the books, people. But the last time I checked, a wave, based off of how many water molecules are oscillating to the same frequency, that determines the size of a wave. So all of these trillions of water molecules oscillating with the same energy and the same frequency, and the more water molecules that oscillate to that same frequency, the stronger and more powerful the wave. What I desire for the School of Outliers, why I've created this social influencing platform, is so that I can assist in an energetic alignment in inviting those who are on the same frequency with me so that we can form a collaborative tribe. And with us oscillating to the same frequency, us being individual water molecules oscillating to the same frequency, we become a tidal wave of radical love that will forever change the face of this planet. And we will become a more unified and a more connected and a more caring and compassionate and forgiving world. That's my desire. That's really my heart. And that's why I'm doing all of this. Y'all wonder why a therapist who can be successful in his practice would be spending time doing this. This is why I'm doing this, because I love me so much that I love y'all so much that I just got to do this. I want y'all to be free. I want us to be free. And I can see a greater vision of us. I see a higher frequency version of us, a version where we don't have to have so much fear for each other, where we don't have to suffer. Millions, hundreds of millions have to suffer from anxiety and depression. I see a greater future for us. And I'm going to fight until I see that come into this physical reality. And so thank y'all for watching us tonight. Thank you I know y'all had a great time listening to my guests, and that inspires me. This young man, Sydney, Australia, 22 years old, Matthew Caruana. Yeah, I'm going to say that name as much as possible before I end this show. Matthew Caruana. So we had him. He kicked ass. He came here. He kicked ass. Not my ass, but anybody else's ass who challenged what he had to say. He kicked ass in that area. So thank y'all for watching the show. Agape, and stay lit.